He carried fire. Japan knew how to build a hearth. Japan was already prepared to understand a God who enters the world's transience and does not stand apart from it. The cross, when it arrived, was not foreign. It was the most familiar thing in the world, finally named. Yes, that is a bold claim that God has made each and every culture and has endeared people to himself, that God is able to make himself known, that God is already present in all of the cultures and people's lives, and that he is close to them, as Paul has said, and that verse will be linked, that they could reach out and somehow be saved. This, my friend, is part of the good news that God isn't far from any of us. When Francis Xavier stepped ashore at Kagoshima on August 15th, 1549, he was not the first stranger Japan had received. For centuries, Buddhist monks had arrived from the continent carrying new wisdom, new images, new ways of approaching the divine. Japan had a long practice of welcoming what was foreign, not by becoming it, but by listening until it became Japanese. Xavier arrived into a civilization that already knew, with a great sophistication, how to do this well. My name is Jonathan. I'm going to be talking about the Basques and how they went to Japan, and I'm going to be particularly focusing on the Jesuits, which is a Catholic order within the Catholic Christian Church, and we're looking back a few 100 years ago. This article has been put together by my friend Rick. His Substack will be linked below. This is my first time reading it. There will be errors and different perspectives on this, and I would love to hear from you. I invite you to correct my mistakes or my misunderstanding or my bias when I'm speaking about this. My heart for this article would be that it communicates something that creates a conversation with Japanese people, and especially for people who have a history of their grandparents or great-great-grandparents in this case, meeting with these Jesuit missionaries who went from the Basque country. For 5 centuries, the story of Christianity in Japan has been told from the outside. Missionaries arriving, converting, being martyred, leaving records. Now, as I continue reading, you'll see that there's a lot of death, pain, suffering in this article. This is a very serious article. However, the way that I'm reading this will be in a light-hearted way. I'm also hoping that the translation I put into Japanese will be fairly accurate. This series turns the gaze around. What would the Japanese people say to the Basque people who sent Xavier? I'm using the English pronunciation of his name, Xavier. And interestingly, he is from a castle, or grew up in a castle about 2 hours from here where I'm recording this. And the person that he joined with, Ignatius of Loyola, is from 20 minutes from here. Those two people founded the Jesuit order in Paris. So we'll continue going without too many interruptions, and feel free to slow the video down or speed it up. What gifts did they receive? What did they find that the Basques did not know they were carrying? And what did they give back to the Basque, and which they could not have produced alone? What the Japanese saw when they looked at Xavier was not primarily a theologian or a representative of an institution. They saw a man of extraordinary quality of presence. He was restless with love. He sat with the poor when people of his station would not. He endured seasickness, dysentery, and the indignities of ocean travel without complaint, not because he was a stoic, but because his attention was fixed elsewhere, on something that made physical discomfort irrelevant. As I read this, I also want to add my own perspective. You will notice that in Catholic theology, there is a tendency, just like in Protestant or in Eastern, to focus on the good qualities of those that have gone before us. That is something that I think will be needed to be taken into consideration, like making someone into a statue, that this is the wonder that they helped us with. And I think that's good, to remember the good things that people have done. There are also a spiritual, religious, and political context that each and every individual lives in. The Japanese recognized immediately they had a word for a person whose inner state and outer action are perfectly aligned. I'll try to say the Japanese word, magakoro. Sincere heart, the quality of someone not performing virtue but living it. Xavier had this, and Japan noticed. The Basque people who shaped Xavier came from mountains. The terrain of the Basque country, I'm looking out there, that's what it's like. The steep Pyrenean foothills, the narrow valleys, the dramatic coastline of the Bay of Biscay. It's exactly where I'm writing or reading from and publishing this article as well. And it creates a particular kind of person. I think it's true. The landscape influences us. The Basque survived Roman occupation, Moorish advance, and later Franquist suppression by combining geographic remoteness with an almost supernatural stubbornness. They kept their language Euskara unrelated to any other tongue on earth through millennia of cultural pressure. They did not yield, they did not assimilate, they endured, and when they chose something, they chose it with the totality that mountains teach you. You do not hedge on a mountain, you commit to the path or you fall. It's my first reading of it, that's why you're getting my emotional response. Xavier carried this to his bones. He was not a man who waited for favorable conditions. He hired a pirate to take him to Japan with no legitimate captain would accept his risk. So this is what he resorted to. He wrote letters to Ignatius who's over here, or in his basilica now to honor him, is just over here. He wrote to Ignatius from the edge of the known world once again, I think this is interesting when it mentions the edge of the known world for a European, and yet just next door you have Zhongguo, Chinese word for their own countries, the Middle Kingdom. They saw themselves, right next to Japan as the middle of the world. And this quality, urgently kind of committed he was, and even reckless with love. And this is a gift. I think the perspective of the Jesuits saw that they were giving to someone else, that they were giving a fervent faith they believed wholeheartedly. And Japan recognized this man for what he gave. It wasn't some kind of outward appearance, but a genuine spirit of life. Now, here you can see this is going to be very subjective, whether you are from a Shinto background or Buddhist background. Maybe you have a Catholic history and you're watching this in Japan. This discussion isn't just intellectual, it's of the heart. We look back upon our history. And maybe it's appropriate for me to share some of my history. I do not approach Christianity from a line of tradition. This is a faith that I've adopted and or more clearly feel adopted by Jesus. In this faith, I started reading literature about Jesus, such as the Chronicles of Narnia. I also had friends that talked to me about Jesus. And so this discussion is actually personally relevant for me. Just as Japan received someone with this message, I also received people into my life to listen to what they had to say. And even though I was of a young age, a teenager, I still considered this seriously and became quite philosophical as a 14-year-old. And for me, a turning point in my life was having a number of dreams about God and also what heaven or hell was about, what eternity was about. And for me, once again, this is my experience. This may not be yours. I'm not telling you that this is something that you need to believe. I'm saying that this is something that I felt invited in to believe. That Jesus had answers to eternity. And I found those answers satisfactory, helpful, and expanding. Let's keep on going. The awareness of impermanence and a gentle sadness at the passing of beautiful things. So we're looking at that Japanese word, first articulated by 18th century scholar Motori Naring-aga in his reading of the tale of Genji. It describes an emotional literacy that comes from accepting transience, not with despair, but with a deepened appreciation for what is present. The falling cherry blossom is more beautiful because it will fall, not despite it. Japan, by contrast, is an island people, shaped not by mountains that separate you from enemies, but by water that holds you together while connecting you to the whole world. Islands teach patience. They teach you that the tide cannot be hurried, that storms must be waited out, that the most important relationships are the ones you cannot leave. I'm thankful for Rick for including this literary style in this article And because of the sensitive nature of it, I think it helps our minds to absorb what is being said, even if you do not agree with it. The community of an island is the community you have, and you learn to live with it, tend it, and find within it everything you need. Japan had been learning this lesson for thousands of years when Javier arrived. He carried fire. Japan knew how to build a hearth. Rick is alluding to the wonder of what happens after many people adopt the Christian faith in Japan and also go through trials and very serious pain and suffering. I've got to a point in the article where I'm noticing the emotions that are flowing from my heart, and I think it's good to acknowledge that when we speak about faith and history and cultures and identity, many feelings and experiences pop up into our mind. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to aim to continue this article once I've been able to assimilate all of the article and also how I would continue approaching this topic. For me, gaining insight from a genuine conversation with other people, having a meal, having a drink is very helpful. I would love to hear from you, and I hope you would stick around for the next part in this. Bye for now, my friend.